Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you, and I'm recording your ass right off the bat. What do you got a chalkboard up here?
No, it's a whiteboard.
Whiteboard, chalkboard. How do I flip? Hold on here. This fucking guy with this chalkboards. How come it ain't splitting side by side? Hold on. Oh, it's up here. That's what. There we go.
Yeah, it's in the top corner. You put me up top.
We're side by side.
Okay.
Good. You're the Zoom king. You told me about this before anyone.
I know. That's what I think's funny, that everybody's using it now.
I was going to XOOM Zoom because that was the first thing popping up. You know that one?
Yeah.
This is awesome. Thanks for telling me about this.
Hey, no problem. It records really clean, you know?
It's amazing. Are you in the woods with the camouflage? What are you? That's military. No. Your Army.
Oh, this is my team hat.
For what?
My triathlons.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get into that. But look at this. I wore it for you.
You may be a Jaggoff if.
The first thing I want to get into is, like I said, then we'll get into all your shit.
Yeah.
Why are car salesmen women Jagoffs? Why?
Well, you know
what I'm saying. Why do they behave?
No, I absolutely do. And with you, my experience, you have both, right? You have people that are genuine, and then you have the real jagoffs. And I agree, and there is no way to defend it. It's just wrong. You don't have to be that way, you know. But it comes to, there are the same way with customers too.
Oh, they're brutal. But I think a lot of it's, they made it so complicated sometimes to buy a car.
Yeah.
Right.
I
the
think
bullshit back, forth. Yeah. I get that there's wheeling and dealing, but sometimes they kind of do pull a lot of stunts that are
hide your
uncalled
trade.
for.
There's a lot of
take your keys, a bunch of shit. I mean, there's a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah. And it still happens. It's stuff from like the 80s, and it still happens.
It's exactly right. And people don't even know this. Me and you used to do stuff in San Diego. With the car dealerships. Stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
now what's interesting is with the current situation, that's changing.
Yeah. You mean with the Corona or just the internet?
Just the Corona. I mean, even with the internet, we were headed down a path that we're in now. But this is, fast forwarded everything, because everything is done over the phone and the computer now. So you can't hide the trade. You can't.
Right. Or the value of your car, any of these type of things, right? Or the financing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all straightforward.
Yeah. But it's still the one thing I think I hate doing the most is buying a car at a dealership. Now, my father enjoys the back and forth negotiating. It seems like, and so does Ria's father. The old timers seem to like going in there and getting in the trenches, and
because it's one of the only things you can do that with.
Yeah, so I think they like that. It's almost nostalgia, almost to a point. Them buying a car. Me, 100%. I'm aggravated. I went in and out. I don't even want to talk to anybody.
Right, and that's why, like, when you were asking me questions about, I don't know, have you bought a car yet or no?
I still got my same convert. I was actually, when we were working together, the convertible 320 CLKs I liked.
Right.
The silver ones. And then I ended up coming to Florida. I was going to get one in Cali, drive it to Florida, and just make a road trip out of it. I ended up finding one here for like $4,000 less with only 30,000 miles.
I believe it.
So that was 80. The dealership we were at, I think, had one with 80,000 miles, same year. Mm-hmm. $4,000 more. I got here, they only had 30,000 miles, and they only wanted 12 and change.
Oh, wow.
In Sanford, Orlando, you could go out and catch deals all over.
Yeah.
Compared to obviously San Diego. But so 1, 2, 3, I got that car, and I only have like 80,000 on it.
That's nice. Yeah, so you fly mostly, not drive.
Right, I do, and then I rent rental cars. I don't even put many miles on. So but let's get into your fitness thing here, because when I knew you, you weren't that involved with fitness.
Yeah, it's when I turned 40. I'm 45, going to be 46 now. So when I was turning 44 at my 44th birthday, I started looking like, okay, next year I'm 45, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to get back in shape. I put on, I was up to 224 pounds, and
I
was
saw
heavy.
you were thin.
Yeah.
You were very fit. Well, you're an Army, right? You're from the Army. And you were always, when I saw you, you always looked, I never seen you like that.
Yeah. So I kind of ballooned up, and I was like, I needed a goal, and I never did triathlon. I always was interested. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I shoot for doing triathlons?
Wow.
Well, you have to exercise to get there. So so that's what led to cycling, running. I swam growing up, you grew up in Chicago. I grew up in Philly. I learned at the YMCA, and
Me too.
You learn not to drown. You didn't really learn how to swim, right?
Survive in the Y, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. It was also a recreational place besides a place just to do fitness. It wasn't always organized, right?
Correct.
Right.
So, I went out and I got a coach to teach me how to swim, because I couldn't even swim the length of a pool. Just one. I had to stop halfway through because the form. Everything was just off. Now I know you swim. I've seen your videos on how important swimming and stuff is, but it's not
my own
easy
thing. It's my own thing. I've swam my whole life, and then being in Florida from 18 on. I'm not in the ocean, but I more or less love underwater swimming. For me, I love running in water. I love doing all these weird things in water, and I love going to water parks. I grew up going to Wet and Wild because in Blizzard Beach, Typhoon Lagoon. So anything with clean water. That's not even that clean, but you know what anything in a pool, not an ocean or a lake or a pond, that's not my thing.
Right.
But you have done a 180, especially being a middle-aged man, not many people are going through. And I was amazed at your transformation. I've always lifted weights, but it was always heavy weights, but I also swam. I always did many different things. But to see guys like you, where a lot of people think their energy level is going lower, which it feels like it is, or getting lazier. And you also got to, our kids are getting older. They're getting bigger. You were in that phase where you just don't have the time. Right. And you don't want to make the time. You seem to, no matter what, get it done, even if it looks like it's even getting up very early in the morning, extremely early. Well,
that's what I do. I do my training at 4 a.m., give or take. Right now it's changed a little bit because, I don't have to go visit clients and stuff. I'm doing everything from the house like everybody else right now.
Right.
So the training part is, I still do it every day, but the time, I don't have to get up at 4 a.m. to go train. And I'm training in my garage now because I have a treadmill and a bike. Great. I have, I still do weights. I can't swim right now because all the pools are closed. Even the ocean's closed. I never thought you could close the ocean, but.
You ready for this, Bill? My pool opened up today again.
Oh, wow.
In our townhome complex here.
Right.
They closed it because there were death threats, but it's right over there. You might be able to hear people. Right there's the pool.
Oh, look at that.
But it's not something you're going to be able to do a lot in, but you can at least do something.
Yeah, you can get in the water. Well, I like the extra, like you were talking about the running and, back in high school, I had hurt my knee, and part of my rehabilitation was in the pool. They put you in the pool, and that's where you did all your exercises.
The buoyancy.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't hurt your joints. It's really, non-compounding. And so I did a little research on the XPT, which is the Laird Hamilton.
I love
He's
that
a
video.
surfer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get what you
weights.
said? They do everything in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you want to qualify to teach that? Is that what you were talking about?
That's one of my goals. End of this year, it's so messed up, but getting certified as one of their instructors, because just to learn how to do it properly, I can grab a dumbbell and jump in the water, but I want to learn how to do it right. Whether I teach it or not, I don't look at the certification as far as a job. I look at it as learning how to do it properly. I learned so much about swimming over the course of the past year and a half, 2 years, at how important technique and movement and learning from a professional really gets you to do it correctly, and how important it is. So
And the results you get. It's amazing. I think swimming overall, I said I started off swimming at a young age, 3 years old, because my godmother was a lifeguard. And then I said I'll probably die swimming because, going to Fort Lauderdale, Boca, Pompano, or a lot of, all these places, Naples, you see the elderly swimming. And I saw that even at 5 years old.
Right.
I always said, like, I don't know, I feel like when I'm in the water, I almost feel the most comfortable. I get great results as far as being able to sleep better, builds my metabolism works differently when I swim. I breathe better. And I'm not a runner anymore. It just beats the shit out of me. I think lifting heavy weights my whole life, lower back, knees, joints, where I can run in the water, do sprints. And I've been doing that. Even when I was younger, going to Wet and Wild in my early teens, when my father lived here, we were members of Wet and Wild. I'd run and jump over the waves, just swim in the wave pool, and just love doing everything in the water. But I don't feel comfortable in an ocean. Maybe I'm afraid I'm going to get eaten by a shark. I'm not going to lie.
There's a lot to that, right?
Yeah, there's fear. It's fear. I can do it. Even when I went to summer camps, I would accept, like, they'd be like, all right, you got to do this to be able to swim at wherever you choose. Of course I would do it, but I'm in a panic state of fear. Now, if I go water skiing, barefooting, I was raised in that because my stepmother's like one of the best. She was the best water skier at one time in the world. Did the SeaWorld thing, and they wanted me to go do skiing and stuff. I could have transitioned into that because I loved water. I just was afraid of water moccasins and alligators and all that shit. So that fear actually kept me from doing something I think I love. And then they're like, well, do Shamu or maybe go work with the dolphins. But that took a much higher education than I was willing to put in. But so your main thing is, now you swim a lot. You obviously cycle.
Yeah, train every day.
And
so in one form or another. Swimming's on the back burner right now a little bit. I'm doing a lot of dumbbell weights and bands and kettlebell training and whatnot, because you can, swimming's a lot of shoulders.
Yeah.
So yoga, I do a lot of yoga, because the one thing I learned getting in the pool was that, the flexibility with your neck and
shoulder.
You have to be able to breathe.
Back. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And it's all that timing and being flexible. So that's the interesting thing. Just like just straight up reaching over your head. When you're swimming, you got to keep your head down, which was one of the things I never really learned. When I first started swimming, you're supposed to be like straight across, right? I was like this.
Yeah.
So my bottom half.
'Cause you're like that.
Correct.
Trying to breathe while you swim.
You're holding your head up.
Sure.
Well, learning to keep your chin to your chest keeps your back end up.
Yeah.
And really makes you aerodynamic in the water. And that's the whole goal. But doing that, you have to be able to, not many people can lift their arms straight up.
Yes.
Because how often do we stretch?
Yeah.
Just like you do a lot of heavy weights and whatnot, it's important to get your stretching in.
A third of my workout at my age now, Bill, is warming up and stretching.
Yeah.
A third. And then on my off days, my videos are always doing something else physical if you can fit it in. I don't care if it's walking. Right. I don't care if you try yoga. I don't care if you go play basketball with your kids, swim. And I don't even mean you have to go do, I think a lot of people get caught up thinking, okay, if I ride a bicycle, my heartbeat's got to be this, and I got to do 4 miles to 6 miles. Go enjoy just the moment of fitness. Like, just enjoy it. I just did a podcast with someone like that who we were discussing that, where when he rides a bike, he wants certain results besides what he gets in the gym. And I said, dude, most people don't even work out. I just want them to get on a bike and go enjoy them. Start with that, lose a little bit of weight, even if it's walking, and your environment means so much. We're fortunate enough. I grew up in Chicago. Like you said, I had a huge YMCA behind me. Right. I did take swimming lessons, diving lessons. I started lifting weights at like 5 years old, just because they had these weird condemned racquetball rooms, and then that they put a bunch of like shitty equipment in. And that's when the Chicago Health Club thing kind of kicked in the mid 70s.
Right.
But your environment, like you being in San Diego, even when I was in San Diego, it was very interesting, because in Florida, to me, it's not as, I don't want to say CrossFit driven or marathon. It's decathlons. That's Tough Mudders. It's not as popular as like San Diego. You almost kind of like your environment, how much it means and the people you're around. In your case, I think you being in San Diego and being around.
Yeah, it helps it.
Yeah, you go to any juice spot, you go to anywhere to eat. I don't care where you're at. You're seeing a lot of those people in that industry. Don't you think?
Well, yeah, this is considered the birthplace of the triathlon.
Right.
Is San Diego. So it's quite interesting how it all came about. But you're right. I mean, we lived in Orlando back in 2008, and it's an interesting dynamic there because you do have, it's a big entertainment area. So you have a lot of that type of people all around, and they're working these crazy schedules. And yeah, people are in shape, but it's not the same as out here in San Diego where it's just part of life. You know, everybody is either walking, biking, cycling. You know, we couldn't even find sidewalks in a lot of spots out there in Orlando, you know, depending on where you were.
The nutrition aspect too, if you look at living in San Diego and then me living in Florida, I mean, both have, you can eat good anywhere, but the reality is it's almost like Orlando. Let's say they call it the fast food capital of the world because it's tourism.
I believe
you go to San Diego, it's the flip side. It's everybody wants to eat, obviously, more of a Mediterranean diet and a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
I also think the portions, to a certain degree, are smaller in California. I always said to kind of make fun of them. They're almost European, especially San Diego, right? You get a pasta, you get an appetizer, smaller, you get something else. Chicago, forget about it. New York, the East Coast, they're monsters.
Right.
But it's because
sitting for hours eating.
Yeah, and when I've been coming to Florida since I was 5, and then I officially was coming here for summer school when I was in my teens, and I was working out at a lot of hardcore gyms that did still back then that trained or worked out guys were bodybuilders,
right?
Power lifters, a lot of
wrestling,
football wrestlers. I keep forgetting his name. Who was the bad guy who hung out with Hulk Hogan? I used to work out with him, but Macho Man used to come, Eddie
Randy
Robinson, but he was all the bouncers, a lot of strip clubs too. Were in Orlando or South Florida, or not South, I'm sorry, Central Florida, including Tampa. A lot of those guys would go on to do wrestling as well and then break out from there. But at the beginning, it was just regional before like it really got huge in the 80s. But it was really like you had like Florida, Georgia, they had their own regional thing. And you had to pass that regional area to go to another one because traveling wasn't as cheap, and it was a whole different dynamic. It wasn't as televised. It was kind of frowned upon, a lot of wrestling at times.
Yeah, it was like underground type of wrestling.
It was both, right. And boxing still was kind of holding strong, but I was fortunate enough to be in those environments. I talk about it all the time. And then being in Chicago was an entirely different dynamic of people working out, obviously indoors, but it seemed like it was more, I don't know about you, even our school sports were more indoor driven. Of course, they're playing football, baseball, things in that nature, but a lot of 6-7 months you're indoors. You're playing basketball, indoor tennis, hypothetically, swimming. So what are you teaching now? Is that what you're getting ready to transition into you still do whatever you do work-wise, right?
Correct. Yeah. I coach sales coaching and training in automotive dealerships.
Yeah. And then do you want to transition to this full time, or is it going to be both? Or
as far as fitness and whatnot?
Yeah.
You know, if that's the path that I end up going down, I mean, I would love to. You know, it's a great lifestyle. That's what you're doing, that as well as what you were doing years ago too, right? Within the different training.
I guess just do my own thing. YouTube videos. It's more advice giving than showing everybody what I've done over the years.
Right.
Just because I'm older, like I'm 50. I'm heading on 51. Right. I did do some videos, but I'm still 50 years old doing videos.
Right.
But it's interesting what you're going through, and I see a lot of middle-aged people go through, and I've discussed this even in my videos. You weren't necessarily like, I was obsessed with lifting heavy weights or lifting weights my entire life, starting from really hardcore 12, 13. Now I'm 50. So I've done hundreds of thousands of different types of sets, reps, everything.
Right.
I'm at the point where I'm not a professional athlete, but I've damaged my body to a certain degree, right? My knees, my joints, my tendons, muscles have taken a toll, where somebody like you, and I have friends like you, I think it's a great no matter what time to start working out, it's a great time, but you guys are kind of fresh as a daisy a little bit, if it makes sense. Because
it makes sense.
You know what I mean? You're not beat up. You didn't go through all maybe the gaining weight or any of the injuries like tearing your rotator cuff, issues I've had all throughout, many injuries, lifting heavy weights and putting all that stress on, like I was saying, your lower back, your shoulders, neck, which is a good thing, I think. Because a lot of guys too, middle age, all of a sudden they want to get jacked and do all these things. I'm like, dude, you have to learn at your age, for one, work out with the intention not to get injured. And
that's important.
Right? It's number one. I tell them you're not 20, you're not 30, and especially if you're 50 or going in that range, the recuperating takes forever. But enjoy yourself, work out, and take your time. You know what I mean? And I think that's something you were doing. That I saw the transition, which was really great, I thought.
Yeah, well, the one thing, and it's just like you were talking about with your buddy earlier, getting on the bike. He gets on the bike and he wants to get something out of it. And you are, no matter what, just getting on it, you're getting something out of it. But some people take it to especially with all these trackers. We have all these Garmin's and Apple Watches and Fitbits and everything else.
Exactly.
And people get really lost in the numbers.
Absolutely.
And, the one thing my coach told me right off the bat was if you get out there, if you're on the bike, running or swimming, and it just doesn't feel right, just go home. It's okay. It's okay to not feel it that day.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
A lot of people think that, no, I got to push through, and that's where you get hurt.
And you got to find what you like. I always talk about if you're not continuously doing what you like, you're never going to stick with it. And also learn to evolve. A lot of times you may be hitting the wall. Now, this isn't for somebody like if you're doing a triathlon, you have to, obviously those three type of things, right? You have to master. But for most people, the average Joe out there, you may be playing basketball and you don't like it anymore. Your knees hurt or whatever. You may want to go try, I don't know what it is, maybe tennis, for instance, or you may want to just go try swimming. But also, you don't have to become so team-orientated, so competitive all the time. Like you said, everything's regulated. Like even a lot of people, which we do too, taking steps. How many steps did you do today? You know what I mean? How many flights of stairs did you? Like if you don't do this, it emotionally, I think, takes a toll on people thinking they're not doing enough. When the reality is just get back to just having fun and finding things that you like to do with the people you like doing them with. Because the culture a lot of times, again, is what's going to be kind of keeping you going, right? I mean, it's not like we're kind of learning with the coronavirus, how long are you going to be able to sustain working out in your garage by yourself? You miss the camaraderie or whatever, like of going to a gym, right? And seeing your buddies or just having the energy. It's that energy you also, like you running around San Diego, that's such a beautiful place to run. Absolutely. If you ran in Chicago, you may not feel that, right? I'm just saying that's
right. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. So what else you got going on besides that?
Just that trying to get out to your world, man, out to Orlando.
Are you really trying to move here?
Yeah, eventually that's the goal. Definitely Florida. We really like the Orlando area. We're I know you guys are into Disney and that whole thing. And,
my whole life.
Disney.
I'm still Universal Zero. I wonder what they're going to do with our season tickets now that they're not even giving us, who knows when they're going to reopen, but they're still charging us for their monthly or our fees.
Yeah. It's the same out here. It's the same with the Magic Kingdom out here and everything. It's all closed up. The zoos, SeaWorld, it's just a weird time.
When was the last time you were in Orlando?
We were there, not this past holiday, but the holiday before. So
it's exploded, as you know, in the last 5 years. It's just been crazy.
Yeah. It's really
insane.
Yeah. I'm interested to see the whole Star Wars thing out there.
Yeah. Rhea goes to that all the time. What would you still be training for what you're training for there here in the heat and everything?
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the heat. When we were out there, I was training. I was out there running. Just got to go a little earlier. It's still cool in the morning.
Sure.
August weather the humidity gets a little heavy on you, but ultimately my goal is to compete in Hawaii. They always have the Ironman world championships in Hawaii, and
Yeah.
that's the humidity is intense. So going and training in an environment like Orlando would
It's more
definitely help
intense.
that. Just like going to Nevada and Vegas in that area.
Yes.
We just like the whole dynamic of Florida. It's a lot more, the Chicago to Midwest and the East Coast feeling from the people and the residents that are there. So
accessibility too in Florida is a little simpler than California.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, like I always said, it's kind of a triangle, that side of the country. It's Chicago, Florida, and then obviously the East Coast, which would include DC, Philly, New York, Boston.
Right.
It's that triangle. So when you got to fly, it's a much simpler. When you're in that West Coast, it's like Arizona, and Vegas, and then everything else is a hike. Then it's Chicago, right?
Right.
Or Vancouver, hypothetically, if you want to go to Canada. But even here, back to this area, you can hit Toronto's even kind of close, as which is the major hub of Canada. So being on this side of the country there's a lot of benefits to it, I guess you could say. Especially Florida, there are a lot of benefits financially too. It's a lot cheaper, obviously, than where you're at. I mean,
oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, yeah. So
a lot more tax friendly, and it is. I mean, when we lived out there, you have your snowbirds. So you have the older generation that goes up north in the summer and comes back down to Florida in the winter, and because it makes sense. I have my wife's cousin lives out in Miami. I have my cousin lives in Miami. So, we have a lot of people that are out there, and just a nice area.
It's no places like this in the world. Not to say that I've been everywhere in the world, but it's when you have 75 million visitors visiting you, and only, I don't know how many million live here now, hypothetically in Central Florida. I don't know the number.
Right.
But when you have 75 million tourists visiting just Central Florida and roughly 40 million visiting South Florida, it's nothing's like that. Not to mention, like when things like this happen, like the corona hypothetically, or the economy changes, these places become so different. It's not like the Midwest or even the West Coast, because a lot of people aren't leaving, but it's very transitional, I guess you could say, transit everywhere. So it's going to be very interesting if the tourist industry definitely has that change, because it happened obviously after 9/11. People were freaking out, not wanting to fly, do those type of things. But Florida on a whole is very interesting, because you have not only Disney and all these places where a lot of youth come, but the average age still is the elderly.
Right.
So it's just a very different type of place. And it's almost the one thing I'll say about Florida is, it's, as much as it kind of looks similar to California, it's so different. It's really like living in the Bahamas or Jamaica, but in our own country, of course. But it is truly tropical. The winters are unbelievable. The summers are a little rough, but it's a very interesting place to live.
August gets tough.
Yeah, but San Diego I still think is the prettiest, in my opinion. Southern.
Yeah, and it's 70 to 80 degrees. I mean, how can you complain about that pretty much all year round?
No rain. Here's all rain.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it rains almost every day out there.
Yeah, it's the flip side of things. And the food's so different than California, too, like we were just discussing. Just the whole culture is so different. But all right, my friend, we are going to wrap it up. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
all right.
Good
Awesome.
with me.
What's the whiteboard again? Because you love doing you were the first one to be doing videos that I remember.
Yeah. So, with my podcast, we've always done it as, because with Zoom, the tool that we're using now, you can broadcast it on Facebook Live. So,
yeah, that's right.
So we've always done our podcast as a live video as well as recording the audio part of it. So
how's that worked out?
It works out great. I mean, you just kind of trugging along. I've learned a lot about podcasts and how, there's so many of them, and, to be successful, it's not really, the numbers aren't high. It's not staggering. Like everybody thinks you have to have a ton of downloads. It's not true.
Right.
There's only a 1% that, like the Joe Rogan podcasts of the world, that get the millions and millions of downloads. Everybody else is pretty much in the same boat.
Yep.
So, but it's, so it just puts you in touch with people. We have people we talk to from all over the world now.
That's awesome. I've seen it.
Yeah, they find it, and and it could be a year or two later. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's new to them.
Absolutely. What do you just share it from Zoom? It's got the
down the bottom.
On the bottom,
go down the bottom bar.
Share. I think is that where it's at?
You can share it on YouTube. You can share it on Facebook. So
if you share it on YouTube, hypothetically, it just goes up there. You don't have to go back and upload it separately or anything. It's up there.
Correct.
For good.
It's YouTube, because YouTube has their live version.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
So
and then it just stays up there under your page.
Yeah, it'll stay
that's
on your
what
page.
I got to probably end up doing too. I'm going to do both of those. I just wanted to get a little more grounded, I guess you could say, to get the fluency of it. So
yeah, no, I understand.
What is your podcast? You want to tell them?
Oh, it's Get Focused with Bill K and Gina Fay.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, you got a partner. That's right.
Yes, yeah, she's a family therapist, so
that's right.
It ends up being therapy. But we've had a lot of different doctors and authors and all kinds of people on it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's
I've heard some.
You get to interact with other people and find out what they're thinking, what they're doing, and so on and so forth.
It's an amazing learning tool. I mean, I'm sure like even Rogan's podcast probably inspires you all the time, right? I mean, different ones.
I listen to most of his, for the most part, but it's just like he says, I'm able to have a conversation. If I'm interested in something, I look somebody up and I say, hey, you want to sit down and talk?
I mean, it's incredible learning tool. Incredible.
Yeah. Because we learn from each other's experiences.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people are doing a lot of unique things that we don't, unless you want to read a book about them. And if they don't write a book, how else are you going to, and they don't do a YouTube, hypothetical, where are you going to learn about that? I mean, they may do, public speaking gigs in different places, but you're not going to always find them. So it's amazing, like just discovering different people's, what they're doing all over the world is amazing. So,
yeah, I agree.
All right, brother. I'm going to wrap it up there.
Yeah. Be safe.
All right. Let's touch base. You moved to Orlando.
I'll let you know. We'll keep in touch.
Or if I go to San Diego again, who the hell knows?
Yeah. We never know, right?
Yeah,
all right, Rich. You be good, buddy.
All right. You too. Take care.